Blockbuster night, finalizing a trade sending Karl-Anthony Towns to New York and Julius Randle and Donte DiVincenzo to Minnesota. That according to what sources.
Welcome back to the All Things Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Vic Lopez, as always, and huge surprise overnight with the Karl-Anthony Towns trade to the Knicks. I want to talk about both sides of things from the Knicks perspective, from the Timberwolves perspective. I think everybody knew that Julius Randle was the next guy to be moved on the Knicks, and he's been in trade rumors for a long time. I was very skeptical of what kind of help they can bring if they traded Randle, because I don't know how other teams value Randle. He's still a really good player, and he is inefficient, and he can be a black hole at times, just kind of tunnel vision and make bad decisions. I always questioned his value around the league. Like, what do you do with a guy like Randle, right? Because I think you need a lot of specific things for him to work in a starting lineup. I always thought best version of Randle is coming off your bench, no leash, right? Just let him do his thing. But that's a whole other conversation. So the thing about the Julius Randle trade for the Knicks is clearly this is an upgrade in terms of offense, right? Because Jalen Brunson needs as much space as possible. This is a dude that demands a ton of attention, and his efficiency with the lack of spacing that he had last year was honestly incredible, and I think it's one of the most slept on stories of the league. And anyone that watches the Knicks would probably agree with that. I think that Karl-Anthony Towns, his gravity, pulling away taller defenders, pulling away attention from Brunson because of the shooting ability alone, is going to do wonders for Jalen Brunson's pick and rolls. Jalen Brunson's life is about to get easier. Getting to the rim, it's going to be a lot clearer. Now, a lot of people are kind of projecting this starting five with Cat at the 5, and we're definitely going to see some of that because Mitchell Robinson's going to be in and out of lineups. But I think that Cat at the 4 is clearly the best place for him to be. Like, I don't think it's very sustainable with Cat at the 5 because you need rim protection. And that's where a guy like Mitchell Robinson is going to thrive, because now it's not going to be so clunky on his rolls with Randle beside him, right? Because Brunson likes to get to the paint as well, right? And I think that having Cat pulling defenses away, it's just going to make everyone's life better. And some people might say we didn't see enough of Julius Randle. I've talked to some people that they wanted to see a little bit more before they pulled the trigger, but to kind of be on the Knicks side of things, if Cat gets traded elsewhere, you lost your chance to see what this version of the Knicks could be. And I'm actually really happy with the move the Knicks made. I think the ceiling with Randle is more visible and more like we know. I think we're more comfortable knowing what the Knicks were going to look like with Randle versus now with a guy like Karl-Anthony Towns, who raises your ceiling offensively. And I think that that's going to make a huge difference in this team this season, especially if you bet the over-under wins total. But for the Timberwolves side of things, which I think is the more interesting part of this whole thing, they just made the conference finals. And clearly what they had worked. Now, obviously, they lost Kyle Anderson, and I'm not looking at the rest of the lineup at the moment because this is a spur-of-the-moment kind of pod, but the team was basically going to come back the same. And you can argue they'll be right back to the conference finals again as it stands. You get rid of Cat, and this doesn't look like anything other than a money move. Randle contract's cheaper, it's a shorter term, it allows some cap flexibility. Maybe they turn Randle into something else. Maybe they attach a pick or a young player to bring some help that fits better on this team, because my God, the spacing with Randle and Gobert at the same time, if that's what they plan to do, I don't know how anyone on this team sees this as an upgrade or says yes to a trade like this. Now, they get Donte DiVincenzo, who the Knicks are going to miss, but he's a good piece, right? Like, this is a guy that's going to help the T-Wolves for sure. But I don't think that's a silver lining when you're losing Cat Now, Cat, there's a lot of negatives, certainly a lot of positives, but it worked last year. And I don't know what the hell. If they try to convince you that this was a move that's going to upgrade them, I don't see it. I don't understand how you make a move like this if you're going to try to make an excuse that it's not about the money. I think this is Anthony Edwards' first experience of, oh, this is the franchise I'm on. Like, this is why the T-Wolves are who they've been forever. A team that makes moves to save money. And you can argue, hey, they brought Gobert, they paid Cat, but after the conference finals, they trade Cat away to bring a guy that doesn't fit on offense. Ant likes to get to the rim. How's he going to get there with Randle and Gobert? Conley's getting older. Not saying he's not going to help, but, obviously they still have Naz Reid. So, you could kind of stagger minutes here and there, but I just don't understand. Unless there's a sneaky move out there that they're already planning, like maybe they see a team that they can trade Gobert to, and they're kind of swinging it that way. Like maybe Gobert's the next guy that's going to move. But I am honestly surprised by such a big trade that seemingly came out of nowhere, especially not so much for the Knicks, because the Knicks, when we knew Randle was going to get moved, like it was only a matter of time before we saw Randle get moved. But to get Cat back, like how did the Timberwolves pull the trigger on this trade? You couldn't do better than Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo, and a pick, But again, I'm thinking big picture because I'm trying to be optimistic for the Timberwolves. Is it because there's another move on the way? Like, are they also going to move Randle again with a pick and maybe like a young player and bring someone that fits? Like I said earlier, it would be really hard to believe that this is the last move the Timberwolves make this season. Super surprising trade. And this season is going to be so awesome. I can't wait for this year to start, man.